In this lesson, we will be learning about the famous American artist Alma Thomas. Alma Thomas was born in 1891 in Columbus, Georgia. Her first career was actually as an art teacher. She taught for 35 years, teaching at Washington's Shaw Junior High School. After 35 years of teaching high school art, she decided to retire and become an expressionist painter. Alma Thomas created expressionist works of art that focused on the elements of art, shape, and color. Her works of art were referred to as color field paintings. Her artwork is extremely beautiful, bright, happy, and colorful. In our lesson, we're going to be focusing on her round color field paintings. Alright, in this lesson you're going to need colored paper. I have some pretty bright colored paper, but any colored paper will work perfectly. You're also going to need glue sticks, scissors, a piece of paper. It doesn't have to be a square, as well as a messy mat, because we are going to be doing a lot of gluing. We are not going to be painting our Alma Thomas inspired piece. We're instead going to be making it out of cut paper. What we're going to start with is a circle for the center. Again, the elements of art that Alma Thomas focused on were color, of course, and shape. So we're going to start by cutting out a circle for our art piece. Now think about where you want it to go. Do you want it to go in the corners? Do you want it to go in the center? That choice is yours. I'm also making sure that I'm always gluing on my messy mat and never on my white piece of paper. So I decided to put my circle kind of in the corner, but a little close to the center, and I'm just giving it a nice starfish hand to smooth it out. Now what we are going to do is we are going to create another ring of color around the outside of our circle. So I'm just taking a new color and I'm cutting it into strips. We're kind of making an Alma Thomas version by doing mosaic, which is just taking little tiny cut pieces and gluing them down with spaces between them. So we're kind of using a mosaic approach to this project. So I'm just starting by cutting out squares, just small squares, or if you'd prefer, you might want to rip your pieces. So you can also rip them into tiny squares if you would like. Remember, these are supposed to be tiny squares. They're not supposed to be big squares. Okay? We're also not cutting triangles. Our focus shape is a square, or kind of like a little bit of a rectangle. I am not using rip pieces for my project, but that does not mean that you can't. So I'm just going to prep more of my blue squares because I'm going to need enough to make it all the way around my yellow circle. I think that I might have enough now. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue each square one at a time and put it around the outside of my circle. I want to make sure that I'm not overlapping my yellow circle. I'm putting a little bit of space between my squares and my circle. You might be able to see that pretty close, that there's a little bit of a gap between my circle and my squares. And I am going to continue gluing all the way around. Taking a piece of paper, putting it on my art mat, adding glue, and then giving it a nice starfish hand to make it stick down. You might have to go back and try to re-glue some pieces if corners are sticking up. Remember, we want our craftsmanship to be really nice. You can see that I'm following the outside of the circle. I am not making a square with my squares. I am going around the outside. So my squares are actually going to end up creating a circle, but they have spaces between them. All right, I am almost completely around. Now I have a little bit of a space here. My square might not fit, so I'm going to give it a little cut and check. Ooh, that fits much better. I want to close off that little space, so I'm just cutting that tinier rectangle to make it fit. Adding a little bit glue, and that looks perfect. I'm done with doing my first row of colored squares around my circle. Now I'm going to pick my next fun color. Ooh, this is going to be a perfect color, nice and bright. So I'm going to do just like last time, cut strips, cut those strips into squares, and then continue gluing all the way around. We're repeating this process until the entire page is filled with our squares. All right, this looks absolutely amazing. I filled up my entire piece. Now, if you have pieces that are hanging over, like my little blue pieces, you can just give those a nice little trim, lining it up with the white piece of paper, so it looks like all the pieces stay on your work of art really nicely. And just like that, you are completely done with your Alma Thomas inspired work of art. Make sure to clean up your space. I hope you enjoyed this activity.